Hey guys, welcome back to another PS2 Memories video. Here we are taking a look at Xtreme Quads, an off-road ATV style racing game that was released on the PlayStation 2 in 2005, and it was developed by mere mortals and published by Phoenix Games. Phoenix Games is also known for publishing a lot of these similar style budget racing games on the system during the lifespan of the PlayStation, more so towards the midway and end points of the system's life cycle. Now you can definitely see that they're budget style games because they're definitely not as polished compared to other games and more mainstream games that were released on the system. But back in those days, this was kind of like an entry point for up and coming developers to get their foot in the door with developing games for the likes of a big mainstream console. As with the PlayStation 1 before it, PlayStation 1 also had a similar outlook towards the end of its life cycle as well. You actually had the likes of budget style companies developing games, plus the PlayStation 1 also had its own indie style platform that they could develop games for with the Net Gyros console that allowed full customization of games to be developed with its own style development kit, although it wasn't as powerful compared to the mainstream developer kit that most companies actually got. At least it gave them an entry point into doing so. But with the likes of a lot of these games, they were the entry point even on the PlayStation 2 for a lot of the companies to get involved. Now in saying that, I actually haven't spent time playing the game. It's not going to set the world on fire in terms of games out there. Like a lot of these other style budget games, there are a lot of issues with them. Yeah, they do play okay, but they're nothing special. I have done a previous video on another game that was also published by Phoenix Games, White Van Racer. I'll make sure to drop a link below to that in the description. It's also another racing game, and I find with a lot of these type of games, yes, they do play okay, but there is always a lot of kind of issues and glitches. Now White Van Racer wasn't too bad, but I found that by playing this game there were a lot of bugs and glitches and issues with this game. The level design as well, in terms of the off-road setting, even though it is set in off-road, the level design in my opinion is very basic to poor really at best, which is quite a shame because the environments don't really reflect the style of the racing game. But not only that, because of the glitches with the likes of the handling on the vehicles themselves, because it can be very twitchy, you can slide out, and even hitting certain obstacles or certain elements throughout the course of each level can literally make your vehicle like flip or spin out with no reason involved. So it can get very frustrating very quickly. But not only that, as you'll see throughout the video where I show different gameplay elements, you'll see that a lot of glitches do show up, especially if you end up falling off track and you try to respawn. Sometimes they can actually respawn you on top of other computer controlled opponents, or they'll even spawn on top of you, or what will happen is it'll spawn you right in front of environmental hazards, which means you've no way of getting out from them, and the game can be just very twitchy and just glitchy overall. Having spent time in playing the game, I noticed a lot of these glitches, and a couple of times the game actually just out and out stalled. For some reason the game just can't seem to handle when too many glitches happen at once, and then it just seems to crash. But again, like I said, these games, they were never really kind of built on the same frameworks, and they wouldn't have had the same type of development teams that a lot of the bigger titles on the system would have had. So what would have happened is these games would have been released with these known glitches, and pretty much what you see is what you got. And once those games were released, there was no way of patching them or any way of really fixing them. Once you got the physical release of the game, if there was any glitches or any issues, that's pretty much what you got in it, and there was no way, you just kind of had to accept it for what it was, which could have been frustrating, especially if you did pay money for this game. Now if you managed to find it, like say in a bargain bin in a shop or something like that, maybe for about $2 or $3, you could pick it up and play it. It's really only good kind of more so for like a quick kind of run through, and even in my opinion, like after having played the game, like I definitely give it a go anyway to see what it was like. Now it's definitely nowhere near the best racing game on the system. Like I said, there's a load of glitches. It wouldn't be one of the greatest racers I've ever played, I will admit, although it does have some unique quirks, but I will admit the level design in a lot of ways doesn't really help with some of the issues and the environmental hazards, and it doesn't really help the fact is the twitchiness of the controls, especially when you're trying to go over ramps and so forth. Sometimes it just doesn't really work. Then you have the likes of fences here, and you've got like small gaps to go through, and if you mess up you're pretty much screwed. So it definitely can get very, very frustrating very quickly. And like even when you're turning and trying to avoid other obstacles, you can just literally just crash the vehicle at any time. Even here, as you can see just on the screen, this is an example of what I mean by the glitches. It literally spawns on top of everybody, or they're spawning on top of you, because you've literally got one little area that you can actually get through on that part of the map. And if it all screws up, the game just literally just screws up then. And that's what I found very, very frustrating. You couldn't really get past this part, and then when you did, the game just pretty much just crashed, because again so many glitches just kept happening. So it is what it is. It's one of those type of games. If it's something that you want to try it just to experience a more glitchy style game on the system, to show how games probably shouldn't be made, or show some of the issues that you would see in games, it'd be worth actually having a look into. It's not to say that I'm hating on the game, but it definitely could have been done a lot better in my opinion. But again, you're always going to get a lot of these different types of titles. You're going to get titles that are exceptional, but you're also going to get titles that are more mediocre like this here. But they are what they are. That's just the way these games were developed, but you just have to take it at face value and just accept it for what it is. You might get some enjoyment out of playing it if you can get your hands on it like really cheap, even if just for a quick blast for a couple of minutes, but that's really about all that it's actually worth. So it's totally up to you what you think of it, and I'd love to know what you think of this game, if you've actually even played it at all, and did you experience the multiple glitches and issues with the game that I have. Be sure to share it down in the comments below. So if you'd like to see more of these style of videos where I do explore other types of budget style games that were released on the PlayStation 2 back in the day, then make sure to leave a like on the video. Also make sure to subscribe to the channel, and again hit that bell icon to be updated whenever future videos are released. And also be sure to check out some of the other videos here on screen, where I have provided other reviews and gameplay videos of similar style games that were released on the PlayStation 2 back in the day. So make sure to head on over and check those out, and I will see you over in the next one.